Can't say much.
Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Moshe Live. Everybody, I'm Morris Lilienthal. Okay, we're talking sports, we're talking hoops, and I'm pumped up about it. We're going to be talking about men's high school basketball today, which I love talking hoops, and I've been fortunate to have several basketball programs over the last several years. But not only are we talking about hoops and basketball and how these guest teams are doing this year and how COVID's impacting them. But we're going to be talking about another important topic, and that's the annual Coaches versus Cancer games that are held in high school and college games and campuses around the country. And we're going to be talking about an upcoming game coming up in East Tennessee on January 26th. And I'm looking forward to speaking with our two guests today. Coach Spencer Beaty, who is the head men's basketball coach at Carter High School in Strawberry Plains, Tennessee. And our next guest is Coach Rashid Moore, who is the head men's basketball coach at Gatlinburg Pittman in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Guys, thank you so much. I'm excited to have you here. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys too and kind of see how things are going. Folks, if you're watching today's show and you've got questions for Coach Moore or Coach Beaty, let us know. Put it in the comments below. And let's get the word out about this game and about this cause. Certainly, we all have battled with cancer in one way or another in our lives. We've had family, friends that have been afflicted with this deadly and just tragic disease. And so we want to help raise awareness and raise money for this cause. And you can help by a small way by doing that by sharing this broadcast out. So Coach Moore, I think what I'd just like to do is maybe start and let people know just a little bit about your program, your school, and that kind of thing. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about GP and you know where you guys, what district you're playing in, and a little bit about the school?
GP, obviously, lots of great tradition, great community, lots of support. Uh, Smaller community, rural, very rural, great kids, great families. We are in District 3 AA. We are actually one of the smaller AA teams at the moment. But kids do a great job of hanging in there and competing. And we have a pretty unique group right now because this is my third year as the head coach, and they were all youngins, sophomores and freshmen when I started out, and they're kind of the old guys now. So different perspective this year, but it's fun. We're hanging in there.
And so tell me a little bit about, I know, folks know that you guys are up in East Tennessee and you've got different classifications and things like that. And I think you said you're 2A. Talk to us a little bit about how y'all break down from a high school perspective. You have the varsity team, and then what do you have see, I'm so old now, I'm in my early 40s, and I played at a 1A high school. We had like a B team, and then we had the JV team. How do y'all do that at that level? Because I know here at some of the bigger schools in Huntsville, they've got a varsity team, they got a 10th grade team, so forth and so on. How do y'all break that down at GP?
Uh, Pretty much you got your main varsity squad, and then we always have JV. But then when we're fortunate enough to have enough freshmen, we have a third team, which is the freshman team. And this year we're fortunate enough that we had actually 16 freshmen. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's big. Spencer, tell us a little bit about Carter High School and tell us a little bit about your program up there.
Well, we're a little bit different, obviously, with our demographics. We're obviously a much larger school district with a lot more high schools, and so just a lot of differences just within that demographic. And so the fortunate thing about Carter is it is a small community, a tight knit community, very, very similar to Gatlinburg Pittman, just inside of a much bigger scale, more, with inside of Knox County. And so it's kind of funny to hear Coach Moore talk. I was thinking maybe he had been there, maybe a head coach at GP, maybe the year before me, but sounds like we've sort of been in this seat for the same amount of time. I was fortunate to come in, and I had a group of kids that were a little bit older. Now his kids, not younger anymore. Now he's got the old kids, the wise kids, the more experienced kids. So tables have turned a little bit, but like Coach said, you're just trying to learn from everybody going through what we're going through, and trying to be mindful of all the kids and trying to keep them safe and families as well, and your own families. But yeah, so a little bit different demographics, but some similarities in the fact that we're still a small community as well.
Yeah. Well, and I like that because, I grew up in a small community and I would think part of this is you get to know the kids at a smaller school like this. You know the kids as they're coming up through. You probably coached or know some of their brothers or sisters and do. And I understand Coach Moore with your wife is the women's coach there, and so she may be coaching siblings on the other side. So you get to know the families really well and do. Not that you don't at a larger school, but it's much easier just because it's a tight knit community there at a 2 or 3A type school, so where you guys are at. Something we were talking a little bit about, and you kind of hinted at there, Spencer, and that we're all dealing with as a society, is COVID and trying to manage our lives, trying to be safe and take care of our family, but also at the same time, as best we can under the the current pandemic, maintain some sense of normalcy. And do that. And one way that I know at my house that we've done that is to allow my son, as safely as we can, to continue to play sports and watch sports on TV when we can. It just a sense of relief. And I would assume this is the same for your kids and the school system to do that. So talk to us a little bit about managing that from a coach's perspective. I've got to imagine, anytime you're dealing with 15 to 18-year-old kids, it's day to day. But when you're dealing with them in a COVID situation, it's even crazier. Coach Moore, talk to us a little bit about that. How has that affected practice? How's that affecting, handling the kids, preparing for games? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, going back to what we talked about earlier, it really helped us having an older group. I really couldn't imagine going through this year with a group that was young.
I think Coach Moore froze up there for a second. Spencer, can you hear me, Spencer?
I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we'll wait till his feed comes back in and go back to him. Talk to us a little bit about how, from your perspective, how this has impacted you and your guys over at Carter.
Yeah, it's we talk to our kids. It's out of our control. To an extent. I mean, we are doing what we can do in trying to maintain distance, wearing masks, making sure we're washing our hands on a regular basis. We're sanitizing locker rooms, basketballs. Everybody's got their own personal towel. We all have our own individual face masks with names on it. And we're having to be very cautious with our hydration. And it's really made some young kids have to get ready. You never know if you're having to start kids that maybe, or even dress kids that maybe you weren't planning on dressing. A lot like Rashid, we have 3 teams and a varsity and a JV and a freshman team. And we just try to remember to just control what we can control and be grateful for the day and try to just win the day because we don't know, we might not get to play tomorrow. And so whatever we do, we just try to be grateful for that day and be the best we can be. If we don't get to play basketball, then maybe it'll make us a better person tomorrow.
Yeah. So Spencer, how many people do you have on the varsity team?
Well, with COVID,
when everybody's there, how about that?
Well, with the restrictions, we're dressed in 12.
Okay.
Typically, I would anywhere from 12 to 15, but with our restrictions, with 10 chairs on the bench, 3 of those for coaches, that gives you 7 chairs and then 5 players.
Okay.
So, again, out of our control. So we just make adjustments as we can. And then when some kids are out, they have to move kids up, things like that.
Yeah. And are y'all having to, is managing practice any different? Are they, in doing that in terms of when you're practicing or how practice is conducted? Is that any different?
Well, we try to encourage, our coaching staff to have masks, when we're on the practice floor. encouraging our kids to, when they're stepping off, if they're getting a water break, maybe to go wash your hands. If guys are not involved in the practice, say they're on the sideline or, they're getting a drink, you try to have a mask on while they're not practicing. So, we're just trying to be mindful as much as possible because, it is new. So sometimes you forget. We just try to have coaches remind each other and players, hey, pull your mask up. You're not, go wash your hands. You stepped off the floor. Just trying to be mindful about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in terms of fan attendance and that kind of thing, have y'all? I know here for a lot of our local high school sports, they are limiting attendance to a much lower percentage. Has that been the case up there for y'all in East Tennessee as well?
It is, and kind of when it started, I think they were saying a third capacity, and then obviously I think that's sort of like when football started, so that's kind of where we were heading. And then by the time basketball, they had cut back and said only immediate family, like biological mom, dad, and those in the household of the athlete. And then just here as of yesterday, I think they are now going to stick with that, but they're also allowing grandparents to come.
Okay.
So, it's been an adjustment for everybody. Like you talked about live feed, we do Facebook Live, just trying to get that game out to people that aren't able to be at the game now.
Yeah, well, that's good. At least so others can watch and do. But I'm sure from there's a little bit of feeding off the crowd, especially at a basketball game, and do it. I'm sure that's an adjustment for your kids too, and it probably takes away. If you're playing away, maybe an advantage for you. There's not as quite of a home court advantage as there might have been, if you were playing at Rashid's gym normally.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of talk a little bit about the game here and talk a little bit about the Coaches versus Cancer event and I know you guys, I know you had this event last year, I think with another team, and was glad to have you on to talk about that last year. So I think the game coming up this year is with Gatlinburg Pittman and Coach Moore's team, and that is January 26th, so just about 6 days out. And talk to us a little bit about what the Coaches versus Cancer event is and what this game's meant to do.
Sure. So, I've got a little bit, a small amount of resume where I was coaching at the college level, and I got involved with the National Association of Basketball Coaches, which is the NABC, which is the major sponsor for this whole thing, and suit and sneakers night. And I decided long ago when I got involved in coaching that I wanted to make sure to try to have an impact, just not in trying to build players, but trying to build young men and trying to not just make a difference on the court, but, try to use my platform to make a difference just in our community and in our state, in our world, any way possible. And so for years, it was something that I wanted to do. I always got a little anxious in trying to pull the trigger. And finally last year, I'm going to jump on board. I'm going to do it, whatever I have to do it. We're going to do it. And so, was able to make the right connections. And of course, with your help with Knoxville TVA, with the administration here at Carter High School, they were all on board and supportive of getting this going. And, just trying to make a difference and trying to show our kids that, the ball's going to stop bouncing one day, and not only to try to make a difference, but let's be the difference. And so, I'm grateful to get the opportunity to get to do it a second year, and hope that we continue to do it. And I think it's just been great that we've gotten to get – there's nobody – and I don't say it because Coach Moore is on the show. I didn't say it because his team is who we're playing during the week of Coaches versus Cancer. But, it's important to have good people around you, and I think Coach Moore does a phenomenal job. And I think it's awesome that they're taking a part and joining and coming on board with us to do this.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Coach Moore, just like when you never know when COVID's going to strike, those tech issues will get us too. We thank you
Right.
for jumping on back with us. You gotta be prepared for the unexpected. But we were I think I was talking with you right before, and it was asked Spencer about this. But talk to us a little bit about how COVID has impacted your management of the team and games, and have you had some cases where you had a couple of players that had to be out because they were quarantining or sick and having to manage that this season so far?
Yeah, early on, we went through a shutdown because of an outbreak with our team where we had to cancel or reschedule 7 games.
Oh wow.
So that kind of got us off to a shaky start, and we were just starting to find our rhythm and niche. And then coming back, we had our 6th man off the bench, which was a senior that missed the next 2 weeks. And that kind of had us off balance slightly, not too bad. But then right when our second semester started and we started our district games, first game back, we had another older guy go into quarantine, and we just got him back, I think, yesterday or the day before. So we had to go through a lot of those games early on, particularly district games, without main guys, and that was tough. But the silver lining in it is you develop depth, and I think although we dropped a couple games when we were short-staffed, not necessarily because of COVID, but because of playing those games, I think when COVID did strike, we had some guys that were able to step up that normally probably wouldn't have been able to step up if we didn't play those extra games without guys. So
Yeah. Well, I know it's it's just y'all are just juggling balls every time. You're just trying to manage and do, and it's tough. But I think it's something that these kids will learn from and being resilient and trying to manage and do. And are they going to be is the outcomes of the game going to be the same maybe as it would have been had everybody been there? Maybe not. But both teams are facing these issues, and so you're both in the same boat with that issue. And you guys know sports teaches us a lot, and you're learning a lot, and we never imagined a pandemic would be mixed with that. But I can say that from my interaction plan, sports in high school and college, that it's taught me a lot of things that have prepared me to be a good dad, a father, certainly a good lawyer, and so your kids are going to learn from this and do. And if you guys can put together and there's a playoff and district tournaments and those things, if you're full strength, I'm sure you'll be a better, stronger team because of it. So we were talking there too about the coaches versus cancer event and doing. Spencer, where's this game this time? Is it going to be at y'all's gym? I think you guys have already played one match, one game so far this year over at Coach Moore's gym, and he's one up on you right now. So they're coming over to your gym for this game. Is that right?
Yeah, he mentioned it hurt them. Had a guy out or two. Well, it didn't hurt him against us. Okay, we made sure. But yeah, it's at our place, and I think it's really. This is what really stinks is I think this place, like it would have been at his place, would have been a really good moneymaker for both schools. I think everybody anticipates the game. And like I said, it's just a great opportunity and an atmosphere for these two teams. And I think it's much anticipated not to overlook anybody that we've got before these guys coming up. But unfortunately in life, when we're doing things like this, we do have to look a little bit to the future, but it is at our place. I think the girls tip off at 6:30 and the guys will follow after that. We're just excited about having them and having them on board to do this with us.
Yeah. Coach Moore, tell us a little bit about, tell us a little bit more about what your thoughts are on you and your team participating in this event this year, and what you're hoping that maybe in addition to giving Spencer and them another L, what you're hoping that your kids are going to learn a little something out from participating in an event like this.
Well, as soon as Coach Beaty asked me about it, it was a no-brainer. I was glad to be a part of it because we've all been affected in some way or other by cancer, and that's just something that that unfortunately is something that we're going to have to deal with. And kids, they're the same way. If they hadn't dealt with it, they probably will in the future. So if you can help in any way, do it. And that's just the way we think about it. And like you said, I hate that we couldn't have a full capacity crowd on hand for that to be able to raise more, but it kind of is what it is. But we're very happy to be a part of it.
He's got a really good plethora of J's too. So it is student sneakers night. So I'm really excited about seeing what he kind of bringing Reds and his J's. I'm hoping to get a shot at that.
Spencer, how can people support the cause? Is there anywhere online that they can go, or anything that they can help to donate and do?
I started. There is a link, and I've put it out there. And if I click over on the link, I'm afraid I'm going to go away from the page, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's called Pledge It. People can go on PLEDGE. pledgeit.com. They can pull up Carter High School, and then they can make donations. So that's one way they can do it. Number two, I'm pretty confident there'll be a donation bucket at the gate when people come in. Halftime of the girls' game, halftime of the boys' game, we're going to pass the bucket per se without necessarily passing it from hand to hand, obviously because of COVID. But that'll be another opportunity. And then we're going to have a bracelet, a pendant, things like that people can purchase. And, of course, all of that money and proceeds, along with proceeds from Knoxville TVA Credit Union, will go to the local chapter of the American Cancer Society, which then, of course, goes to the Coaches versus Cancer. So that is some of the ways that we'll be using that night to raise funds for cancer.
That's great. I think it's just awesome that you guys are doing this. And as we said, we've all been touched by cancer in some way or another. And to support this great cause and to be teaching your players, something I'm a big supporter of, and that's service above self, and that is teaching them that there are causes and things out there that they need to be out supporting and doing. And here now you can do two great things at once. You can be helping support a great cause and supporting great basketball. Let's wrap up with kind of what the rest of the season looks like for you guys and doing in terms of games left on the schedule. Assuming there aren't any postponed or canceled, and district and all that kind of thing, how that works out. Coach Moore, what's left on the slate before district tournament time and state playoffs?
We've got right around 10 games left, and 6 of those are district games. So everybody else has played at least 6 or 7 games, and we're the oddball out there only 4. So it should be an interesting stretch, to say the least.
And then talk to me, just whether one of y'all jump. Well, Spencer, you tell me about what y'all got left, and then one of y'all jump in and kind of tell the audience how it works up there. So y'all have you play district play then, and then the top so many teams in the district get a chance to play, move on to the state tournament.
That's correct. So we've got 9 games left. I think 4 of those are district games. So we've got a few out of district. As we sort of head into district tournament. And then typically, and Rashid, you jump in here, the 1 and 2 get an automatic bye to the region, but they take the top 4 out of the district that go into the region play, and then they take the top 2 out of the region. You got your region winner who will then host what's called sub-state game. Your region runner-up will travel for the sub-state game, and then the winner of either of those both of those sub-state games then go to the final 8, I think it is, of Murfreesboro, the state tournament.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you too. So they play the Tennessee state tournament there? It's in Murfreesboro. Is that at MTSU?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's a neat experience for the kids. I know. here in Alabama, we do something similar. They have the region sites. The sub tournament is hosted at a lot of the junior college or maybe smaller colleges, and then I think at the Final Four or whatever. It was hosted in Birmingham. I'm not sure if they've moved it to Auburn and Alabama here for the state championships in football. Now they rotate. 1 year it's at Auburn, 1 year it's at Alabama. And I know Tennessee football, I think it's at Tennessee Tech. Is that right? I think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a neat opportunity if you guys can get there, and I certainly wish you guys both the best of luck. And I appreciate all you're doing to support our kids right now. As I said earlier, it's as a 20-year spouse of a teacher, I know that teachers and students are going through a whole lot right now, and being able to have the ability to continue to play sports and to have this outlet and those opportunities is really important to these kids, and doing it certainly in a safe way to promote the health and safety of them and their families is key and number one, but allowing them to continue to play and do, because we know that how much sports means to kids, and if these things were canceled and as long as they can be maintained in a safe environment, that would be a big problem. A lot of things these kids would miss out on. So I really appreciate you guys supporting that and making that happen in your communities. And guys, I wish you the best of luck the rest of the season. Thank you so much for what you're doing and supporting this great cause, Coaches Versus Cancer. Folks, please, if you can, check this out. Check out Pledge It and check out the Carter High School to see if you can make a donation, or go to the Coaches Versus Cancer website to make a donation to the American Versus Cancer Society's website. But guys, good luck the rest of the season. Really appreciate it, and you guys taking time.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Good luck,
Thanks,
Coach.
guys.
You too, man. Stay healthy.
All right, you too.